Hey everybody, it's Mr. Bean again, and I've kind of got another little series of videos that I'd like to put out because I think there's some value for families out of this. So this set of videos is going to be covering The Power of TED by David Emerald. Power of TED stands for the empowerment dynamic, and I would show you a real copy of it, but I've given away so many copies over the years. But it's available on Kindle, Amazon, all those different things. So before we go in to start talking about TED, right, this first video is going to just kind of set the framework in which we talk about the power of TED. By the way, Power of TED it's just a parable book. It's the author meets someone named Ted, and then they go kind of on this journey and talk about different concepts. So it's presented as a parable. It's not quite presented like this, but I've done some training in this stuff, and this is something I've been teaching for almost 10 years. So here's kind of the framework that we're going to approach in this video. So first off, there are these sort of mental modes. We could also call them mindsets. And for today's purposes, actually for the next video's purposes, we'll call them orientations. Okay, so that's fundamental number one. Fundamental number two is that there is a natural default setting. There's a way of behaving that we just kind of automatically come back to. And then the third one is going to be the FISBE model, right? F-I-S-B-E. And that's going to stand for focus, inner state, and behavior. So in talking about the FISBE model, okay, right? F stands for focus, I-S stands for inner state, and B-E stands for behavior. So there is something that we focus on, right? Our eyes fixate on something, our minds fixate on something. That in turn creates an inner state. There is an emotional quality that comes into us when we focus on certain things. Out of that inner state, out of that emotional place, a behavior happens, right? We do something. That behavior in turn goes back and reinforces or possibly changes the focus. Maybe not, okay? So what we focus on creates a particular inner state which influences our behavior, which helps us find the next focus. So I joke about the FISBE model being these kind of goggles we put on, right? They're these eyeglasses that we're going to wear. They're going to give us the perspective to look at two different possible orientations. Remember that word from the beginning of the video, right? There are two kind of orientations that we are going to evaluate, okay? So one of the possible orientations that we could have is to focus on the problem, okay? The focus is on the problem. That in turn is going to create an inner state of anxiety, okay? And now from that inner state of anxiousness, right, then there is going to be a reaction, okay? And I'm going to react. I want you to notice, did that problem get solved, right? What are we reacting to? The anxiety. Let's hold that thought for a second. So the alternative to the problem orientation would be the outcome orientation, right? So here I'm focusing on the outcome, or maybe a vision that I choose. Choice, really important word. That outcome, that vision creates an inner state of passion, right? I don't know what to do, right? I just feel like this is such a great thing. I don't know what to do, but that passion leads to a baby step. Man, I don't know how I'm going to make that vision happen, but I guarantee you I can do just this one thing, this one little itty bitty thing. And that baby step takes us one little increment closer towards our outcome or towards our vision. Okay, so now we've looked at the two different orientations, and let's consider what the air in between these is, right? The attention, the intention, and the results, okay? So I'd just like to point out, right, the attention in both orientations is different, right? One, the attention is on the problem. The other is the outcome, right? So that's what we're fixating on, right? Problem, past, outcome, future. Where's our attention? The intention, okay, between these two things, right, over here, over here, we're seeking to take something out of being, right? We are trying to avoid, we are trying to push down, we're trying to say, not today. Okay, so we're trying to take something out of being over here. Over here in the outcome orientation, we are trying to be creative, right? We are trying to draw something forth. We are trying to be a creator. Interesting word. Maybe I'll use that later. And then the results, right? So if we look over here at the problem orientation, right? We think we're reacting to the problem, right? In fact, we're reacting to the anxiety. So did the problem ever go away? No, it didn't. So we look at the results over time, right? X, Y little graph. The results are going to look like this, episodic, right? There's going to be these constant fire drills. I liken it to, you're just walking along, and then all of a sudden you see a car. So you dodge the car. Okay, good. Car's gone. And then all of a sudden here comes another car. So you dodge the car, right? And so what you're focusing so much on is the car, right? You're not dealing with the fact that you're walking down the middle of the street, right? So instead of dodging the cars, get out of the street. Now the results over here on the outcome orientation, right? They're gonna look like this, aren't they? That's exactly how it's gonna look. No, of course not. It's not gonna look anything like that. It's gonna be, the trajectory will be in that direction, right? That exponential direction, but it's nowhere near going to be that smooth, okay? So that's the framework from which we will discuss, to start discussing TED. In the next video, we're going to look at interpersonal relationships and these sort of roles that we play as we navigate these sort of these ideas that come out of whether we're going to focus on the problem or we want to focus on the outcome. Okay, so stay tuned. More videos coming really soon. Thanks, y'all.